Hi friends! Today we will be starting a new topic, which is the cube root and cube. So let's learn what are cube numbers and what is a cube root. Now, what is a cube? Cube is a solid figure that has all sides that are the same length, breadth, height. All sides are the same. Here we have an example of a cube. The measurement of all sides is 3 centimeters. And what is the volume of the cube? How do we calculate the volume? Volume of a cube and cuboid is length multiplied by breadth, then multiplied by height. But all the sides are the same in the case of a cube, so we can write the volume of a cube as side multiplied by side multiplied by side. That is side cubed. You can write volume is 3 cubed, or 3 times 3 times 3, which will be 27. So volume of this cube is 27 cubic centimeters, and 27 is said to be a cubic number. That is, 27 can be represented as a number that multiplies with itself 3 times, as we can write 27 is 3 times 3 times 3. 27 is a cube number. So, cube number is a number that can be expressed as a number multiplied by itself 3 times. Or a number raised to the power 3. So, cube number is n cubed. So now you know what is a cube number. Let's repeat what we have learned till now. We know a cube is a solid figure whose all sides are the same. And volume is calculated as side multiplied by itself 3 times, or side raised to the power of 3, which is all read as side cubed. And the number obtained by multiplying the side with itself 3 times is the volume of the cube, and that number is the cube number, as it can be expressed as the product of a number multiplied by itself 3 times. So cube numbers are n raised to the power of 3, or n cubed. Let's have some more examples. Here we have another cube where all the sides are 4 centimeters. What is the volume? Its volume will be side cubed, or 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. So its volume will be 64. So 64 is the volume of the cube, and it's a cube number because it can be expressed as a product of a number multiplied by itself 3 times. So 64 is a cube number. So now you know what is a cube number and why they are called that. Now let's have some examples of cube numbers. What will be the cube of 1? That is 1 times 1 times 1. The answer will be 1, so 1 is a cube number. What is the cube of 2? That is 2 raised to the power of 3. 2 times 2 times 2. It will be 8. Now cube of 3. 27. Cube of 4. 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64. Cube of 5. 125. Cube of 6. 216. Cube of 7. 243. Cube of 8. 512. Cube of 9. 9 times 9 times 9 is 729. Cube of 10. 10 times 10 times 10 is 1000. Cube of 11 will be 1331. Cube of 12. 12 to the power of 3. 1728. Now you can notice one more thing of cube numbers. Notice how the cube of an even number is an even number and the cube of an odd number is odd. Let's see. Cube of 1 is 1, it's odd. Cube of 2 is 8, it's an even number, and 2 is even. Cube of 3 is an odd number. 3 is also odd. Cube of 4 is also an even number. 4 is even too. Cube of 5 is 125. Both are odd. Cube of 6 is an even number, as 6 is an even number. So, cube of even numbers are even numbers, and the cube of odd numbers are odd numbers. So friends, now you know what are cube numbers. Let's revise once again what we have learned. We learned that if we have a number n, suppose n is 3, then cube of n will be 3 raised to the power of 3, solved as 3 times 3 times 3, which will be 27. So 27 is the cube of 3, and 27 is a cube number. Cube root of 27 is 3. Similarly for 4, it will be 4 raised to the power of 3. 4 times 4 times 4. It is 64. 64 is a cube number, and it's cube of 4. Now what is cube root? Now for finding the square root of a number, we used to take a number that is multiplied with itself 2 times to form that number. And that should be the square root of that number. Finding the cube root is the same thing. We need to find a number that multiplied with itself 3 times to form that number. And similarly for 64, 4 multiplied by itself 3 times forms 64. So 4 is the cube root of 64. For 216, 6 multiplied by itself 3 times forms 216. So cube root of 216 is 6. We need to find the cube root of a number. You need to factorize it such that each factor of the number appears 3 times. Let's have an example. The number is 2744, and we have to find its cube root. So we'll be doing its prime factorization. Find its cube root. First, let's divide with 2, because 2 is the smallest prime number that will divide into this number. Now we can divide it again by 2, because 1372 is divisible by 2. We can divide it again with 2, and we get 343. This is not divisible by 3, 4, 5, or 6. It will be divisible with 7. Again, this number is divisible by 7. This number is also divisible with 7. So we have done the prime factorization of 2744, and its factors are 2 times 2 times 2 multiplied by 7 times 7 times 7. You can see that we have, and you need to obtain factors that appear 3 times. So here we can see 2 is appearing 3 times, and 7 also appears 3 times. So we can write this prime factorization as 2 raised to the power of 3 multiplied by 7 to the power of 3. So we can write this prime factorization as 2 raised to the power of 3 multiplied by 7 raised to the power of 3. So the cube root of 2744 can be written as 2 raised to the power of 3 multiplied by 7 raised to the power of 3. Therefore, from this, we can see that the cube root is 14. 2 times 7. I hope that you were not confused. The cube root of 27 is 3, because 27 is 3 raised to the power of 3. The cube root of 64 is 4, because this can be written as 4 raised to the power of 3. Cube root of 125 is 5, because 125 can be written as 5 raised to the power of 3. For example, 2744 can be written as 2 raised to the power of 3 multiplied by 7 raised to the power of 3. So 2 and 7 come out of this, and the cube root will be 14. Now let's have some more examples of finding the cube root. We have the number 216. We have to find its cube root, so we will be using the prime factorization method, dividing it with 2 first, because 2 is the smallest prime number, and it is divisible with 2 to get 108. Now again, this number is divisible by 2. We will use 2 again. Now we got 27. 27 is not divisible by 2, so we will use 3 to get 9. 9 is also divisible by 3, so we will use 3 again, and we get 3. Use 3 again to get 1. And now we know the prime factorization ends when you get 1. So prime factorization is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. Now what do we have to do? For finding the cube root, we need to have each factor that occurs 3 times in the prime factorization. 2 occurs 3 times. 3 also occurs 3 times. And we have to take those factors that occur 3 times. So the cube root of 216 is 2 times 3, that is 6. You can also write it the other way. 216 is 2 raised to the power of 3 multiplied by 3 raised to the power of 3. You can write it like this, and then multiply 3 raised to the power of 3 by 2 raised to the power of 2. Therefore, 3 times 2 is 6. Now let's have another example. We have a number 3,375, and we have to find the cube root of 3,375. So we will be doing the prime factorization of this number. Doing the prime factorization of 3,375, the first prime factor will be 3. The next is also 3, because 1,125 is divisible by 3. Now again, this number is divisible by 3. 125 is also divisible by 3. Now 125 is not divisible with 3, so we use the next possible prime factor. It will be 5. We'll get 25. 25 is also divisible by 5, so we use 5 again. And now we get 1. Prime factorization is 3 times 3 times 3 times 5 times 5 times 5. And for finding the cube root, we need to have each factor that occurs 3 times. In this prime factorization, 3 occurs 3 times and 5 occurs 3 times. So the cube root of 3,375 is 3 times 5, which equals 15. Now we have our next question. We have a number 243. Is this a perfect cube or not? Second part of the question is to find the smallest number that can be multiplied with 243 to make it a perfect cube. And the third part of the question is what should be divided with 243 to make it a perfect cube? Or what is the smallest number that can be divided into 243 to make it a perfect cube? So let's solve this. First we have to check whether it is a perfect cube or not. Use prime factorization. 243 is not divisible with 2, so we use 3. We get 81. 81 is divisible by 3. We get 27. 27 is also divisible with 3. We get 9. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And then finally we use 3 to get 1. So the prime factorization of 243 is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. For finding the perfect cube, we need to divide its factor into a triplet. That is, one factor should multiply with itself 3 times. And here, 3 is multiplying with itself 5 times. So we have one triplet and a pair of 2 3s. So 1 3 is missing. It means 243 is not a perfect cube. So the answer of the first question is that 243 is not a perfect cube. Now let's move on to the second part. That is finding the smallest number that can be multiplied with 243 to make it a perfect cube. The prime factorization of 243 is short of 1 3, so it should be multiplied with 3 to make it a perfect cube. So 243 can be multiplied with 3 to get 729. And yes, 729 is a perfect cube. Its cube is 9. 9 times 9 times 9 is 729. So we have finished the second part of the question. Now let's move on to the third question, which is what number 243 can be divided by to make it a perfect cube? Again, use prime factorization. We were short of 1 3, so we multiplied it to make a perfect cube. Now we have an extra pair of 3. That is, if you remove this 2 3's, you get a triplet only. So it should be divided with 3 times 3. That is 243 divided by 9. And again, we get a perfect cube. 27. 27 is a perfect cube, and it's the cube of 3 times 3 times 3. Therefore, we attempted all parts of the question. I repeat, the question was, is 243 a perfect cube? We did prime factorization, and since there were not 2 triplets and only 1, it was not a perfect cube. Second part of the question was, what number should be multiplied with it to make a perfect cube? 1 3 was missing, so it needed to be multiplied with 3 to make a perfect cube. And then, finally, for the third part, we needed to divide 243 by 9 to make it a perfect cube. So this is how you can solve all the questions where you are asked whether a number is a perfect cube or not. What can be multiplied with it to make it a perfect cube? Or what can be divided with it to make a perfect cube? Now we have another question. We have the number 5,400, and we need to find the smallest multiple that will make it a perfect cube. What do we need to do? We need to do prime factorization of 5,400, and we will see what factor is not able to make a triplet. And the number that will not make a triplet will be the smallest multiple that will make 5,400 a perfect cube. So, doing the prime factorization of 5,400, we get this result. Here we have the prime factorization. It is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 multiplied by 3 times 3 times 3 times 5 times 5. So the factors 2 and 3 have a triplet, but 5 does not make a triplet. So we are short 1 5. Therefore, 5 is the smallest multiple that will make 5,400 a perfect cube. So if you multiply 5,400 with 5, the prime factorization will become a perfect cube. 5,400 times 5 equals 27,000. And it will become a perfect cube. As the prime factorization is 2 times 2 times 2 multiplied by 3 times 3 times 3 times 5 times 5 times 5. The cube root of 27,000 is 30. So 27,000 is a cube number. Now we have another question. We have the number 7,000. Find the smallest divisor that will make this number a perfect cube. What do we have to do? We will be forming the prime factorization of 7,000. And we will see which factor is not able to form a triplet. We will remove those factors, and the remaining prime factorization will be the smallest cube number possible. So, doing the prime factorization of 7,000, we will get this. 2 times 2 times 2 multiplied by 5 times 5 times 5 times 7. 2 is able to form a triplet, so is 5. We only have 7 that is remaining. So we will divide 7,000 with 7. That is, we will remove 7 from this prime factorization, and we are left with the perfect cube. 7,000 divided by 7 equals 1,000. 1,000 is a perfect cube number, and its cube root will be 10. So friends, keep practicing a lot of these questions for the topic of the cube root. Now we know what are cube numbers, what is the cube root, and what are the methods of finding the cube root. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. And if you want to see more fun videos, you can hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more content. Bye-bye!